welcome to close your sidurim. Don't put them on the floor, please, but you're welcome to set them aside for a moment. And there are some seats in among people here, so anyone standing in the back would like to meet a really nice Jew from Tarzana, move up here and come and have a seat. This is Shabbat Zachor, the Shabbat on which the Jewish community stops to remember that throughout our ages, throughout the generations of our existence in the world, being a Jew in the world has always required a certain degree of vigilance. There are those in the world who refuse to share the world with us. And the holiday of Purim proclaims that if we're wise and if we're canny and if we're careful, that we can live with prosperity and abundance in a world even with those who don't want to share with us. It's a holiday of joy and celebration because of the ability of Jewish life to succeed even under difficult circumstances. This morning, our speaker is a dear friend, a longtime member of Valley Beth Shalom. Adam Milstein is the founding chairman of the Israel-American Council, a philanthropist in the community of important note, a deep, deep lover and supporter of the people of Israel and of the land of Israel. And this morning he's going to speak to us about anti-Semitism and what it is our responsibilities call us to do. Following his talk, you're going to be so hungry, you're going to need sustenance. So following his talk, we'll be inviting everyone to share a little bit of lunch with us, a light lunch. We'll reset this room for a few minutes, and then Adam and I will sit together and have a conversation, and you'll all be invited to share some questions and answers with Adam. Please welcome our dear friend, Mr. Adam Milstein.
Thank you, Rabbi Feinstein. Thank you, everybody that stayed here and everybody that came from a long way to come hear me. Please take seats. There are some seats available. So from the back, try to find a seat. Okay. I can take it.
No, don't do that. Leave it there.
Okay. All right. We'll wait a few more minutes for you in the back to try to find seats a little bit closer. There are a few here and there. So again, I want to thank Rabbi Ed Feinstein for inviting me, for all of you staying here after the services, for all of you that came a long way to hear me. Appreciate it. I think the Rebbe invited me here because I was one of the people that disagreed with him when he gave the Rosh Hashanah sermon. And but this synagogue is freedom of speech, and he said that my views should be heard as well. And I want to appreciate the Rabbi for doing so. I'm not going to speak about the sermon at all today. I'm going to speak about, I think, the number one danger that we're facing today in America and in the world. I'm going to speak about anti-Semitism, but in a switch for what normally people speaking, I'm going to talk about what we can do to combat it. How can we stand up and do something about it and not just complain about it? Now, this is a very serious matter. It's not easy. I don't want anybody to stress out. I know that all of you are doing great for your community, for other organizations, and that is fine. I'm going to introduce some new idea. If anybody wants to do something extra, by all means, but please do not take it really seriously. I actually have here my wife, Gila, is here, my son-in-law, Ben, and 2 grandkids, so I have to be very politically correct. So if I'm not, please let me know. Also, this is the first time that I'm giving this speech. And so if anybody feels that I have to make some changes, because I'm going to try to do it again, so please be my guest and come here and tell me after the talk what I can do better. So the Rabbi introduced me. I was born in Israel in 1952, a long time ago. I served in the IDF during Yom Kippur. I actually crossed the Suez Canal with Ariel Sharon brigades, and in the end of 1980, I came here with Gila and 2 kids, 2 young girls, to pursue higher education, and we've been living here in Encino for the last 38 years. And like many other Israelis, we used to be called Israelis, now we're Israeli Americans. We were not really involved in what's happening here. We are not really belong to any synagogue, and we were not involved in pro-Israel advocacy. But I think the thing that changed our perspectives was the Second Intifada. If anybody remember, Israel signed the Oslo agreements in 1993 and 1995, and there were some effort to implement those peace deals on the ground, but there were a lot of terrorist attacks, and it didn't really work well. And it was President Clinton in 2000 that invited here Ehud Barak, the Prime Minister of Israel at the time, and Yasser Arafat to try to sign a final deal of peace between Israel and the Palestinians. And they were in July of 2000, they were in Camp David. They worked up all the details. There was a peace agreement. East Jerusalem was supposed to be the capital of Palestine. 98% of the West Bank was given back to the Palestinians. And we were very close to signing a deal. But Arafat said, let me think about it. He took the agreement with him. He thought about it, and he said, you know what, the Israelis gave me everything I wanted with no problem. Now I'm going to start all kind of terrorist attacks in Israel, and perhaps I can get some more. And the Second Intifada started in 2000, a month after he came back, with a lot of suicide bombing, terrorist attacks in Israel. About 1,000 lives of Israeli civilians have been lost. And for us, people that came from Israel and living here, we were extremely, extremely suffering from pain and suffering of the people in Israel. But I think the thing that most disturbed us was the fact that the media actually blamed the Jews for the killing of the Jews. You've seen the New York Times, you've seen the LA Times, you've seen the CNN, and they blamed Jews for the fact the Jews were blown in buses, in restaurants, in hotels, and there were demonstrations on campuses against Israel, and we felt we cannot stay silent. We need to do something, and that's where the point that Gila and I become a little bit more involved in pro-Israel advocacy. But I think the turning point for us was a year later, in 2001. We were actually sitting in this room, in this exact room in 2001, and there was a screening of a movie. The event was organized by StandWithUs and the Israeli consulate, and the movie was Jihad in America. I always remember we were sitting here on this side, and it was really the work of Steve Emerson. He's an investigative reporter, and he had undercover people in mosques here in America in the 90s. The movie was produced in 1994, and they were saying, death to America, here in America. And it seems like the American public did not believe in this. They think this is some kind of a gimmick. And I remember coming out from this screening and feeling that something has to change. Any idea what date was it? No, the night before. It was September 10, 2001. We came out of here at 10 o'clock at night, Gila and I, and we said, until it happens here, Americans will not realize the dangers from radical Islam. 8 hours later, it happened here. 8 hours after we walked out of this room, 9/11 happened. Now, I don't think I have prophecy talent. Very few people back in 2001 have seen this danger. I think the danger is higher today, but still, maybe a few more, but still a lot of people don't understand the danger that we are facing today in America and all over the world. And this Shabbat parasha is Vaikra, which is the calling. I feel it is my calling to be here and read to you the writing of the wall that I see. This is my personal calling. I think it was a turning point for us, this 9/11. We become more involved in pro-Israel advocacy. We joined StandWithUs, we joined AIPAC, we joined Esha Torah, and we got slowly but surely got more and more involved in pro-Israel advocacy. As the Rabbi Feinstein said, in 2007, we funded the Israeli American Council. Danny is here. Danny Alpert, he was one of the founders with me. And today, the Israeli American Council is one of the fastest growing Jewish organizations in the nation, with activities in 57 communities, reaching hundreds of thousands of people and educating to love Israel, Israeli culture, support Israel. And I'm very proud to be the chairman right now, and along other things. So really being active meant that I was active in more and more activities, but one of them was speaking about anti-Semitism. I've seen anti-Semitism coming up since the mid-2005, 2008, and I was speaking about the danger in America. And people told me, you better shut up, because you are creating anti-Semitism. The fact that you're talking about anti-Semitism, you're creating anti-Semitism. If we are quiet, if we're putting our heads in the sand, nothing will happen. You are creating anti-Semitism. I didn't agree. I continued to speak, and maybe because of me, the anti-Semitism today is a disease in America. Maybe, but maybe not. In any event, a few years ago, I watched a movie called Denial. Anybody seen it here? Denial? Good. The story of Deborah Lipstadt. She's a professor at Emory, an history professor, and she wrote a book about Holocaust denial, and she had identified some Holocaust deniers. One of them was David Irving from England. He decided to sue her in the British court for defamation. And in Britain, it's a little bit different than here. She needed to prove the court that she didn't defame him. He did not need to prove anything. She needed to prove that she did not defame him. And I remember her coming to, she had to go to London to protect herself in court, very expensive, and she came to a family, a Jewish family, very, very rich family, because I remember from the movie they had like a castle, there were Rolls Royces all over, very rich family, and she came in and she said, this is the situation, I need to defend myself, can you help me with my defense budget? And they told her, listen, Deborah, get your stuff and leave. Settle this lawsuit, tell him, agree that you defamed him, pay him compensation and leave. You are creating anti-Semitism in England, they told her. Get yourself out of here. It was, a shame to see that's happening. Well, she actually found people to help her. Most of them were not Jewish, by the way. Her legal team, pro bono, was not Jewish. She won the lawsuit. He actually found himself in jail. And anti-Semitism today in Britain is above any limits. Even the Labour Party is infested with anti-Semitism. So I don't think Deborah really shut her mouth, and I'm not, and we're continuing to talk about it, and this problem is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Let me ask you here, who had suffered anti-Semitism, you or somebody you know, in the last few years? Just raise your hand. Just few people. Okay, few people. Phil, how you doing? In Europe, absolutely. Europe is a few years before us. In Europe, Iran. Well, there are hardly no Jews in the Arab world today. They were all extinct, except some samples of Jews. In any event, who do you think, by raise of hand, who of you think that anti-Semitism is growing in the United States? Few more. Thank you. Thank you. Seems like many more people agree that anti-Semitism is growing. Well, let me give you some statistics, just that you know. I think in the last 3 years, 2016 to 2017 to 2018, hate crime in America have been increasing substantially. And the number one target of hate crimes are Jews. 60% of hate crime in America are against Jews. Now, LA County had a study in 2017. Out of 101 religiously motivated hate crime, 73% were Jews. 73% was us. Now, just in the last few months, let me give you some examples of anti-Semitism in our backyard. You know, in October of 2018, Calabasas Eye was tagged with swastikas. In November of 2018, Orthodox women going from the synagogue back to their home, their wigs were taken off. 3 women in North Hollywood, wigs taken off. Also in November, there was a guy named Muhammad who tried to run over Jews coming out of services on La Brea. In December of 2018, there was a guy here near Chabad of North Hollywood. His name is David Brenner. He's not Jewish. He was standing with a keffiyeh and machete taking pictures of himself, as if to say, today I'm just coming to take picture, tomorrow I'm more serious about it. We actually investigated the case, and the guy is very dangerous, become more and more radical. The information was provided to the police here, but they say, well, he didn't kill anybody. So I think I even shared the information with Rabbi Feinstein. That's the situation. The police, unless somebody is skilled, is not doing too much about it. Anti-Semitism is clearly growing and becoming a disease in the United States. And I'd just like to read you a letter I recently received from a mother of 3, a member of, I'm not sure if she's a member of Valley Beth Shalom, but she lives here in Encino with 3 kids. She was born in Israel, but she's completely American. And she writes the following. Dear Adam, anti-Semitism is spreading like wildfire. My kids tell me what they hear from fellow classmates, and it's horrible. They get into argument all the time, things like Israel is an apartheid state. You Jew have white privilege. You have Jew money. My son wanted to start a Jewish affinity group and was told by classmates that Jews are white and they do not need an affinity group. One girl told my son, I wish, I'm so tired of you talking about Israel and the fact that your family is from Israel. I wish that you don't have freedom of speech. And it's an open season on Jews now, so sad, scary and depressing. I don't remember it ever being so bad. The problem, she writes, is that we are not united as Jews, and sometimes we are our own enemies. So this mother had 3 kids in Milken, actually. She took them out because of racial problems between groups in Milken. She put them in a very prestigious public school here in the West Side, and this is what is happening right now in Los Angeles in public schools. I mean, maybe in the Jewish school we are shielded from all this, but it's happening here, and we need to wake up. So anti-Semitism is growing. I'm here to tell you it's not just our problem. It's actually an American problem. And I would like to share with you why I feel it's an American problem and why we're not alone here. So anti-Semitism is the oldest disease, right, in the history of the world. We were expelled, we were slaved in Egypt, we were expelled from Israel to Rome and to other places. We were expelled from Spain, we were expelled from France. We suffered the pogrom in Russia and Poland. We suffered the Holocaust, and there are, as I said, no Jews left in the Arab world. They were all extinct or left, pushed out or extinct. So what have we done in the last 2,000 years to fight the disease? Clearly, we're the expert. We know exactly why people hate us, right? We know exactly what's wrong with everybody. We know why they think this about us or another thing about us. We created movies and books and encyclopedias and everything to know about anti-Semitism. And you see those articles today. Every day, another article about anti-Semitism and why they don't understand us and they don't understand that Israel is a good place and they hate us. But isn't it about time that we do something about it, not just write about it? It's about time that we stand up with courage and do something about it. Because what we have done so far, in addition to documenting all this problem, we have done tikkun olam, we have done social justice, we have done Hasbara about Israel, but I don't think it's working because anti-Semitism is growing. I'm not saying to stop whatever we were doing. We're doing tikkun olam, let's continue. We're doing Hasbara, let's continue. But isn't it about time that we complement whatever we're doing with new things? Because what we're doing just doesn't work. So I'm here to say, let's try to use new things to fight anti-Semitism. So first of all, what is anti-Semitism? Who is behind anti-Semitism? In order to fight, we need to understand who the enemy is. And anti-Semitism is basically described by a 3-headed monster. The 3 heads of the monsters are radical Muslims, the radical right, and the radical left. Each one of them hate the Jews for their own reasons. Now, but are they only enemies of the Jews, or maybe they have a bigger vision for the world? If we look at each one of them, indeed, each one has a bigger vision for the world. If we look at radical Muslim, what would they like to have? They like to have an Islamic caliphate going from Pakistan in the east to all America in the west. They like to see Sharia law. They like the culture to go back to the 7th century. Women are going completely covered, no rights. That's their vision for the world. They hate the Jews, but the Jews are just the first station. The mission is much, much bigger. If we look at the white supremacists, what's their vision? They wouldn't like the white race to control the world. It's better, it's superior. Christians and white should rule the world. Anyone that is not Christian and white, Jews, immigrants, Muslims, Latinos, anything that's not exactly what they think is the race should be eliminated. That's their vision for the world. We're only 2% of America and 0.2% of the world, so we are not the target. We're just the first one to get it. But whatever starts with the Jews, we know, never end with the Jews. And the white supremacists have a much, much bigger dream. And what about the radical left? The far left people, what's their vision? Well, clearly their vision is to have a country where all the money is taken from the rich and it's being supposedly distributed to the poor, but it never gets to the poor because the dictator, is it Putin or somebody else, stays with all the money. And they know better. I mean, it didn't work, communism didn't work any place in the world, but they know exactly how it's going to work in America, how they're going to destroy capitalism, entrepreneurship, and we will have here at no time Venezuela. So, right? They know exactly how to do it. They hate the Jews. They always hated the Jews, but it's not about Jews. It's about their big vision for the world. We need to understand it. All those three movements are anti-Semites, but they're also anti-American, anti-democracy, anti-freedom of speech, against religious freedom and stuff like that. Now, all those movements have followers that are even more radicals than the leaders. And those followers feel that they should take things to their own hand because they can take weapons, they can expedite the process and maybe get salvation sooner. So you see a lot of violence and terrorist attack by people that we call radicals or extremists. And those people are basically getting this from the leaders, and they feel that they have the right, the justification to do it right now. And they commit all kind of terrorism today. Let me just take each one of those groups one by one, kind of analyze what they're doing and how dangerous they are. Let's start with the radical Muslims. They're spreading all over Europe, and they hate the Jews. There is a lot of violence against Jews by radical Muslims in Europe. We all remember in 2015 when a group of radical Muslim terrorists attacked the Charlie Hebdo. They killed 12 people in Charlie Hebdo, injured 11. Members of the same team, the same group, actually went into a kosher bakery and killed Jews. There was somebody here in America that called the people that, not the people went into Charlie Hebdo, but the same group that went into the bakery, he calls them random zealots. They were not random. Maybe they were zealots. Random, they were not. If we look at Europe, that was 2015. 2016, a guy affiliated with ISIS drove a 20-ton truck into a Bastille parade in Nice, killing 86 people and wounding 400. You have to understand, maybe they hate the Jews, but the big target is not the Jews, it's everybody that is not like them in Europe. Now, in America, it's not much different. I told you in the beginning about the movie that Steve Emerson did in 1994, Jihad in America. Just last month, there was in Israeli news, Tzvi Yechezkeli did the same thing, came undercover, and he went into mosque here in 2018. And mosque, and it's not just some side mosque, major mosque in Washington, New Jersey, Davis, Irvine, they are calling to kill Jews in America. It's not because Jews support Israel. No, Jews are conniving, Jews are greedy, kill the Jews in America. This is the call that is coming out from Muslim mosque in America. Now, again, we know that when they say it, they mean it. Maybe it's not today, maybe it's tomorrow. We need to be alert. But radical Muslim in America, most of the people that were attacked so far were not Jews. Look at 9/11. 9/11 was not targeting Jews. The Boston Marathon, some terrorist attack in New Jersey, San Bernardino, Port Hood, Orlando. When they take violence, they take terror to their own ends, the targets are Americans, not as Jews. And Americans need to understand, again, yes, they hate Jews, but they're anti-Americans. Now, if we look at the radical left, and I want to be clear, I'm not talking about Democrats, I'm not talking about progressive, I'm not talking about liberals, I'm talking about people in the far left, people that I said would like to have a communism here. Their hatred to Jews is long time. Everybody remember in the early 20th centuries the Russian forgery called the Protocols of the Elder of Zion, that came up with a conspiracy that actually was a book that the Jews supposedly wrote. They want to take over the world. They want to take all the money. They want to take over Christians. They want to take over whites. And the Jews are greedy and conniving. And that's really, after this book, a lot of anti-Semitism grew up in Europe against Jews. We remember Stalin. We remember the Dreyfus event in France. We remember a lot of anti-Semitism in Europe. I just want you to know that somebody here in the United States bought 500,000 copies of this book and distributed it here in America. That guy was Henry Ford. He took the book and he distributed it because it was too good not to send around to all Americans. So radical left, heavy for us. The BDS would not have been what it is today if the radical left have not been supporting it on campus and beyond. You know, the Arab that come here with the slogan that we need to boycott Israel would have not done so good if it wasn't the radical left pushing them, champions them, and that's why the BDS and anti-Semitism here is growing like crazy. In fact, look, we have Ilhan Omar right now in Congress, right? And she's an anti-Semite, but many people are protecting her freedom of speech. We no longer can expect anybody to defend us here in America. So the same thing that happened in Britain is happening right now in front of us. Now, are they capable of terrorist activities? Absolutely. They have many, many organizations that are militant. They have anarchist organizations such as Antifa, such as Black Lives Matter and others. They're very, very violent, the people that are inspired by the radical left. I want to give you an example. In 2017, in Alexandria, Virginia, we had James Atkinson, who took a gun and started shooting at Republican congressmen practicing baseball. Now, he was able to seriously injure Congressman Scalia and Scalise and injure some police officers. And the police was there because they was there to protect congressmen, so they stopped it. If there was no police, many more people would have been killed. And the guy, if you don't know, he actually worked in Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign. So I'm not saying that somebody told him to kill Jews, but when you hear all these ideas and that things have to take place and change have to take place, crazy people take things to their end. I want to read to you what the U.S., the Virginia Attorney General concluded after the event. He said, "This was an act of terrorism fueled by rage against Republican legislators." So I'm saying violence and terrorism can come from every place, and it's against America. It's not just against Jews. So the question is now, what can we do? Should we do anything? Jews in the past have not really taken action because we feel that we have too much to lose if we take action. If we do nothing, perhaps somebody else will do something. Perhaps somebody else will come to protect us. That's why we always say it's anti-Semitism, do something. But I believe that, let me ask you here, is there anybody that thinks that we can do more than we're doing today? Few people. Okay, at least I'm happy that few people feel we can do more, because I want to talk about things that perhaps we can do today that we have not done before. So to those people that want to do more, I think now it's a good timing, and I'll tell you why. First of all, we're partners. That's the most important thing. But today we have the state of Israel. We have a very strong country that is only existing for the last 70 years. It's a superpower, a place of energy and support for us, a place to fight terrorism, anti-Semitism all over the world. Which was the country that went to Entebbe to save the Jews, the hostages? It was Israel. Where are the Jews of Europe finding refuge today? It is Israel, right? People from France and now people from England, they're coming to Israel. They have no place else to go. They're coming to Israel. Israel is the U.S. #1 ally. We have common interests. We have common values and common enemies. We need Israel to help us. Unfortunately, there are people in the Jewish community that feel that now is the best time to criticize Israel because, you know, Israel is not perfect. It's not doing enough on many things. It's a lot of conflicts. But I tell you one thing, you know, we are here to support Israel. Everybody agreed that Israel is not perfect. But our job is to support the state of Israel with everything that we can do. I served in the army, Danny served in the army, others served, and here protecting Israel is our miluim. This is our duty. Anybody agrees with me here? Good. Thank you. I'm not alone. Secondly, we are the most successful immigrant community in America, right? It's written. We have money, we have influence, we have positions, we're every place. Now, this is the time to use our power, our resources to fight back. Maybe in 10 years we won't have the power. Maybe in 10 years or 20 years we won't have the money. We won't have the ability. Now is the time to use what we built over the last 100 years before we don't have it. It happened in Europe. We were the leaders of the community, and then within 10 years it completely disappeared, and Jews cannot use the power that they had in the 20s. In the 30s, they no longer have the same power. Now is the time to use our strengths, our resources to fight back. And thirdly, and the most important thing, we are not alone. If we can show the American that these radical movements are anti-American and they want to destroy the democracy in America, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, everything we believe in, we will have many, many partners, right? We're not alone. We're going to have American brother and sister to stand with us, fight with us, and make a difference. Remember, we're not alone. This is the first time in history that we are not alone. And this is the time to do something. So, for the one who wants to do a little bit more than what you're doing today, and again, I'm sure everybody's doing a lot, but if you want to do a little bit more, I want to explore a few things that we can do here. And I think the key is to understand it's not for one organization to do it all. It's for many organizations. It's for many people. It's for many ways. There is no magic pill that if we take it, we solve the problem. That is the reason that over the last 20 years, Gila and I got involved in more than 100 organizations that support the state of Israel. We know who is there. We know who is making an impact, and we connect between the dots. When we work in an overall strategy, it's not a strategy for one organization. It's for many organizations, Jews and non-Jews. So I think we have to look at it as a strategy. And now what we need to do is, first of all, find out who is the enemy. Okay, we know it's radical movements, but who exactly is it? What are the movements? Who are the individuals? Who is funding them? What's their agenda today? What's their agenda tomorrow? Who is in their network? What are they planning? We need to have the ability to find out who is the enemy, to find out what they're doing legal and illegal so that we can attack them at their weakest spot, so that we can delegitimize them, we can discredit them, and marginalize them. It's not a war of ideas. In war of ideas, we already lost, and we're losing every day. It's a war for our survival. So we need to study who's the enemy, and I'm here to present to you today 3 different things that I'm supporting. I think they are part of the organization that can help the situation, and you guys maybe can feel that you can like to join them or support them. There are many. I'm not saying those are the best one in the world. Those are 3 that are dedicated to fighting the enemy. The first one is built on the, I think, on the concept like in Israel. When you go to Israel, everyone is a police officer, right? Everyone is on alert. Everybody's looking left and right, and this is suspicious, this is a terrorist, and here is a suspicious thing. They immediately notify the police. The police take seriously what the citizens are telling them. They check it, and a lot of terrorist attacks are being prevented in Israel because everyone in Israel is on alert. Everyone is part of the military and the army. That's the only way Israel survives. If we can do the same thing in America, if we can ask every American to be on alert, open your eyes, see what's happening, see, you know of any potential threats, on any violence, or anything that is cooking and creating, let us know. If you let us know, we can use our intelligence that we already have, to study the information. The police, a lot of time, doesn't have the means to study the information. You can go to the police and provide information, and they'll say, okay, Give us your number, we'll call you one day. And nothing happens. Until there is some mass killing, the police didn't have the means, didn't think it seriously. It's happening all the time. If we can digest the information and research and give it to the police, ready to go to all the law enforcement agencies, they'll take it seriously. So the idea here is engage the public to be our eyes, ears, boots on the ground, engage intelligence, sophisticated software on the other side, take the information from the public, research the information, and give it to the law enforcement agencies to prevent terrorist attack or violence in America. We call this body the Center for Combating Hate in America. There's nothing Jewish about this. It's fighting all kind of hate and violence and domestic terrorism in America, and it's utilizing the public on one end and research ability on the other end to really fight against the enemies of America. Another idea is if we just want to focus on the anti-Semites. All right, we Jews want to focus on anti-Semites. Again, we need to study who the anti-Semites are, but as soon as we know who are the anti-Semites, what they're doing illegally, what they're doing here that is not compatible to America, we can go against them. That project is called Stop Anti-Semitism. What Stop Anti-Semitism is doing is basically taking information to run campaign against anti-Semites. Right now, Stop Anti-Semitism is running campaign against Ilan Omar. But it's not because Ilan Omar is anti-Semitic. Freedom of speech. Anybody can be anti-Semitic, right? In Europe it's not, but here it's freedom of speech. Anybody can call us whatever they like. It's fine. We can't even pass a resolution against anti-Semitism. But what we found about Ilan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, they're representatives of CARE. CARE is basically an affiliate of Hamas, affiliate of the Muslim Brotherhood. There was an investigation 15 years ago, the Holy Land. The FBI and the police have said, and the judge says, Hamas and CARE, same thing, terrorist organization. Rashida Tlaib and Ilan Omar are representative of CARE. Right now, we have two representatives in Congress. They're representing terrorist organization. That is what our petition is talking about, not because they're anti-Semite, because we are now a representative of Muslim Brotherhood sitting in our Senate and terrorizing us from there. That is the issue of the petition. And thirdly, there is something here that we're doing in LA that I'd like to mention. We all want to maybe meet new organization that may be small but making a lot of impact, right? We know Valley Beth Shalom, we know AIPAC, we know FIDF, but we don't know all the foot soldiers that are really fighting for the state of Israel and for our democracy, and we don't have no idea. We just know the mega organizations. So on the other end, there are many people here that want to be philanthropists, but they feel they're alone. So who should I call? I don't know. I don't want to call my neighbors. Why are you calling me? Call somebody else. So all of us want to know more people that care about those issues and want to support those issues. So we created a platform here. We call it the Impact Forum, where philanthropists are invited for lunch every 5 weeks. We allow the philanthropists to introduce each other. So say, I'm here because of my wife, I'm here because of Israel, whatever the reason is, they're able to express why they're doing here. And in the last meeting that we had, everybody's now talking about anti-Semitism. I'm here because I want to fight anti-Semitism. Enough is enough. We need to do something. So we allow the philanthropists to introduce themselves. And after the meeting, we give the information of each one of them so they can reach each other. And then every time we bring two young organizations making a lot of impact with very small budgets of below $1 million that you have never heard about it. But they're making a lot of impact for the money that they're raising because their founders are basically working for peanuts. They believe in the mission and they don't need the salaries of $500,000 or $1 million to do their job. They work for nothing. They do a lot for America and for Israel. That is the Impact Forum. If any one of you wanted to get more information about each one of those, please reach to me after the lecture. Now, you're probably asking yourself, okay, so what is it that I can do, right? I'm just somebody who lives in Encino, and I also just someone who lives in Encino. But we can all do more, and I think anybody who wants to do more, there are a few ways to do it. First of all, you can give your time. You can sign up to the different platforms that we have, the Center for Combating Hate in America, Stop Anti-Semitism and other, and participate and sign petition and follow the calls for action. Now, if You don't have time, but you have money, you can support those. Those are, I think, non-profit organizations. You can support them as well. You can do a combination of, I want to support you with time and money. If you have neither, or you do, but you know somebody who does, then you can reach out to friends and family and say, hey, there's great organizations here. I'd like you to be involved. We can all do more. We can all do a lot more. It's just a matter of let's stand up and do more than we're doing today. All right, I'm coming to the end. And as the Rabbi Feinstein said, we will continue after lunch. I just want to summarize. I think it's pretty clear that anti-Semitism becoming a disease in America. It's growing by bounds and leaps, and it's becoming a real danger. We also understand it's not just a Jewish problem. It's an American problem. It's Western civilization problem. And we need to stand up with our brothers and sisters, the American, and fight back. If we're not going to lead this fight or participate in the fight, I don't know necessarily that we will be protected here, because it is our duty to fight back. Now, again, we can continue to be risk adverse. We have too much to lose. Let's not do anything. It's going to be okay. It's not going to happen in my lifetime. But it's going to happen in my kids' lifetime. It's going to happen in my grandkids' lifetime. So it's really, anyone that thinks, let it go, it's not going to happen to me, is doing a big mistake. It's going to happen to all of us and our descendants. And really, we need to stand up and do something. I want to finish up like, by the way, I forgot to mention it. I'm not a rabbi. I'm not a scholar. I'm just a businessman that using business abilities of, you know, black and white to make decisions and to act. I don't understand in the 50 shades of gray. For me, it's just black or white. Easy decisions, quick. I'm not complicated. I'm only focusing on things that I can do. I don't focus on things that I have no idea how to do. If you come to me and say, can you make rain today? It's great, but I don't know how to do it. I don't want to do it. I just want to do things that I can actually make an impact. Somebody asked me, what is your opinion about this and this? I mean, if I can affect anything with my opinion, why even express them, right? I only want to do things that I can do, that I can make an impact, and not just talk for the purpose of talk. So I just want to go back to my rabbi abilities and mention to you that this week Parashah is Zechor. We need to remember that there are many, many enemies to the Jewish people, and they are permanent enemies. And our commandment is to stand up and fight against them. If it was the Amalek, if it was the Aman, if it was the Hitler, or if it is the Ilan Omar. Those enemies are constantly against us. We need to remember that, and we need to stand up and fight back. And I just want to finish with, we had a guy named Rabbi Hillel who said, Imen ani li, mi li. If not me, who will be for me? And if I'm only for myself, who will be for me? And if not now, when? Thank you very much.